Oh, it is going to let me record without hearing my own voice playing in the background. I was just waiting a few seconds. Of course, I'd lost my train of thought. Angela Power Davis, Disney and I had an interview yesterday. And of course, as these things are unplanned, and you have no idea what's going to be asked or what you're going to say, I'm going over a lot of it in my head today. Oddly enough, I had recorded immediately before the interview a video about Ellen, my stepmother, which turned out to be really relevant to the interview, and which I uploaded earlier today. Another thing which came up big time was the porn ring, and I'm not sure how much I've uploaded about that. I know how many videos I've made about it, but I don't know how many I've uploaded. It's entirely possible that the porn ring was in operation at the very least, bare minimum, 6 years before I was made aware of its existence by a man called Ken Browning. The men I mentioned during my recording with Angela were Ken Browning, Greg Byworth, and my ex-husband, whom I did not name, but sod it, his name is Bob Webkin. It's a German name, and the I was taken out. Some of his relatives, I think I know more about his family now through my research than he does. Some of his members spelt it Wiebkin, and some spelt it Weibkin, some spelt it E-I, some spelt it I-E, and his father took the I out altogether, Webkin. Not Wiebkin, not Weibkin. Right, so there were those. There was a couple in Ferndown whose surname I do not remember, and should. They were either German or Dutch. And what I now suspect and didn't suspect then, well, I'm certain in my own mind, is that a German man named Edmund Hutter, for the English he pronounced it Hutter, but it was Hutter. Actually, originally Henry Edmund Hutter, I think, but I called him Ed. He didn't like it much, but I called him Ed. He was a multimillionaire with, as he used to put it, fingers and a lot of pies. I first met him in 1980, which was the year I got married. My parents quite frequently went to his home, and he quite frequently went to their home. And he would give them slideshows of nice, innocent material. However, I knew him in a slightly different way. I knew, for example, that he paid frequent trips to Thailand, Pattaya, to visit the Thai girls there. He liked them because they were so small. As far as I'm aware, he was not a paedophile, and he just liked small women with childlike bodies. But the multimillionaire aspect, and the fingers in many pies aspect, and the fact that he took me on a tour of Holland, including and especially Amsterdam, and the number of connections I have found between Holland's pawn rings and our pawn rings, all add up. I think he was a big financial backer. He died Christmas Day in 1991, and my father told me about it. I've been intending to get his death certificate for a long time. He was an old man. It's just the fact that it was Christmas Day and my father told me. And my father had this thing about Christmas. A bad thing about Christmas. And every time my father told me about her death, he was behind the damn thing. I'm not certain exactly what role my father played in this ring. But I do know that he did play a role. I know that he was acquainted with every single man in the ring, just for starters. I know that he had a dark room at the bottom of the garden where he developed black and white photographs. I know that there was an argument between Ken Browning and my father about a box that Ken wanted back from my father after I'd turned him over to the pawn ring. And my father wouldn't give it back. And I know that my father wrote on a sheet of headed paper, headed by Greg Byworth, whose cover for the pawn ring was the Lonely Hearts Club. And I know that I have that piece of paper, but wasn't expecting to have to produce it, to be honest. And yesterday, in a state of complete exhaustion, I was searching for it, regardless of my lungs as well. My fault. I should have had it to hand. I have evidence in piles everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. And producing the right piece at the right time has turned out to be quite a feat. But my father did know Greg Byworth well enough to have his headed notepaper, and the headed notepaper was the cover for the pawn ring. I'll leave that one. Oh, not yet apparently.